You know when you drink like a drink from a bottle or from a straw, and they say like once you start getting towards the end, it starts to be more saliva than drink? Well, that's basically what Sierra was. She was more saliva than drink because Future had drunk all the drink. He got the womb, he got the best years, he got her when she was at the peak of her career. She was in the top of her game, everybody wanted her, and he was the one who got her. Hey, this is the antisocial socialite back at it again. Thanks so much for tuning in. If you are new to the channel or you have not yet subscribed, what are you waiting for, darling? Hit that subscribe button, smash that notification bell, so when I get to running this mouth, baby, you are in the loop. You see the title, you know what time it is. I recently posted this video, and I was talking about this clip of Gary from Ricky Smiley and I was so shocked because I completely missed this part. I was so flabbergasted by the whole, yeah, my mother told me at the age of 30 that me and my siblings don't have the same father, that I completely forgot the reason why I clicked on the video in the first place. Now this information is about a month or two old, and it is, you know, with all due respect, I read it and I felt sick. Russell Wilson not only adopted Future's son as his own, which is already a questionable move, he then decided to take $10,000 per sibling, every half sibling of Future's children, what is now technically his son. He has decided to give each of those children 10 grand for a trust fund. He's like, these children are brothers and sisters of my son, and not everybody is as athletic. You know, everyone should focus on education and not athleticism. And so I want to give these children the start in life that they need. Now, this video isn't long because I don't even understand what there is to say. Because you have a lot of women out here who are going to be like, that's a real man. A real man would take on another man's baby. A real man would care for that child like it's his own. Okay, if you really love Sierra and she's, you know, a reformed character, she is not about Future, fair enough. Okay, unfortunately, she comes with a child. She comes as a package. So you have to deal with the fact that she comes into the relationship with another man's baby. I respect the fact that he wanted to cause Future to waive all rights to the child. I think that, on the one hand, I can understand it, and I think it was a good move, because then it's not only severing the tie between the child and the father. In theory, it was supposed to sever the tie between Sierra and Future. Now, yes, you had a pop-in career how many years ago? No one is disputing Sierra is not unattractive, but she's definitely not at the top of her game when she came out and Future got her best years. Okay, Future was the one who got her best years. She was, you know, chasing him and running him down all over the place. And then she finally grabbed him and he grabbed her, and now they have a child together, so they're connected for life. He got the benefits of everything that Russell Wilson should have got. This is why guys are out here saying that he's an A1 simp, and I don't blame them, because he basically got the what left in the bottom of the barrel. You know when you drink like a drink from a bottle or from a straw, and they say like once you start getting towards the end it starts to be more saliva than drink? Well, that's basically what Sierra was. She was more saliva than drink, because Future had drunk all the drink. He got the womb, he got the best years, he got her when she was at the peak of her career, she was in the top of her game, everybody wanted her, and he was the one who got her. And now Russell Wilson is slurping on the saliva, which is higher percentage than drink. And that sounds harsh, but that's the reality of the situation. Sierra is currently saliva more than drink. Okay? That's why people don't have respect for Russell Wilson, because he basically, you know, scooped up Future's backwash and said, oh wow, you know, I can still taste a little coke in there, so it's fine. It's like, no, it's not that fine. There's no guarantee that when that child grows up, he's going to respect Russell Wilson. But there's going to be a greater chance of him respecting Russell if Sierra is appreciative, if Sierra is respectful, because she obviously sets the tone for how the children view the man. Children are always observing the way their quote-unquote parents interact. And if the son is watching how Sierra is respectful and appreciative, it increases the chances of them having a harmonious family. But it's no guarantee, because at some point he could just eventually pull the whole "you ain't my daddy" card, which is always a questionable day that could be impending for anybody who's ever been a stepchild or even for step parents. You know that potential day is coming, because, you know, recently I've been catching a lot of long lost family. And obviously the show is predicated on the fact that these are people who generally went to good homes but still want to know where they came from. So there's a consistent theme of these people who, no matter how great their upbringing was, they still want to know who their biological mothers and fathers were. Generally it's the mothers, but I have seen one with a father. But the fact that the child will know who their biological father is, but at the same time have the great upbringing, it's just it's a precarious situation, because no matter how much you respect that person, the bottom line will always remain that there's a genetic pull to where you biologically come from. So it's heartbreaking to be a step parent. I'm not a step parent. My mum dated, and you know, some of the partners she had, they were nice guys, and there was at least one that I wish she had settled down with, because he was a good man. And because my biological father wasn't interested, and in terms of the family, I wasn't that bothered, I would have just been happy to see her happy, and it would have been a better situation for all of us. But for some children, they're really pining for a father, and they're really pining for their biological father. They really want to know their lineage, their siblings. And I wanted to know my siblings, and a little bit about my family, but my father was just not even somebody I really gave two thoughts about. So this whole thing about the stepfather game, a lot of the time it's just a thankless task. And this is why so many people discourage the idea of trying to basically take on another man's lineage. But that's one of the reasons why a lot of the time people do not fancy and they don't respect what Russell Wilson did. But just when you thought simping couldn't get any worse, just when you thought it couldn't get any lower, and let me be clear, if you have a child or children out of wedlock, you know, there is life after being a baby mama. And I'm going to say two things. The first thing I want to say is this. Sierra got a rescue. Sierra got a lifeline. She was lucky that she was astoundingly beautiful. And she comes from the world of celebrity, where everybody seems to pretty much be a mess. So anything goes in that world. That's why I hate it when people compare themselves to celebrities. Because, you know, like these women and Real Housewives, you know, how are you a stay-at-home mom when you've got a personal trainer, a personal chef, somebody who manages the grounds, housekeepers and butlers, and you've got like a nanny and 2 au pairs? How are you a stay-at-home like mom with your kids? What are you talking about? The average person is struggling for daycare, and you've got a whole team behind you. So, plus a rich husband who's paying for everything. What are you talking about? And the people who compare themselves to celebrities, like, it just boggles the mind. What are you really aspiring to be? And let me say this, oh my gosh, how many tangents are we gonna go on? You could have almost that nice life, but on a slightly smaller scale. If you had a reasonable sized apartment, or in the UK, most of them are called flats. We do have apartments now, but if you had a reasonable apartment and you decked it out nicely, made it look like a little palace, you could have the feeling of that nice life without the huge price tag. But obviously a lot of people stretch themselves to the point where they cannot live on the budget that they have. They take on expenses they can't afford, trying to impress people, and they start too late and they end up falling way too short. So scaling down, scaling back is a way to be able to live that dream of being a stay-at-home wife, even having some help if you need it, just to keep you not exhausted with the kids or whatever. But Sierra is in a different category altogether. And this is the other thing. She basically got a lifeline like Jada Pinkett. And that's what I was saying earlier. As bad as thing be, we cannot dispute the fact that Sierra is attractive. But Sierra's career is done. After 2 kids, she probably doesn't have the time or the energy. She doesn't have the pull anymore in order to draw those crowds. I mean, a lot of celebrity performers, singers, and boy bands, it's been said that their goal and their target audience is teenage girls and gay men. Okay, that's who these artists are manufactured to draw, because that feminine energy, that energy to aspire to be like so and so, that's something you more see women doing, or people who are of a feminine mindset doing. They are the ones who are going to be so excited and so thrilled by these celebrities that they are going to even spend money. So they always manufacture these artists to appeal to these kind of people. And Sierra, who was a bit more edgy, she was often quite tomboyish. She's not necessarily going to appeal to all the girls, because she doesn't have that sassy city girl style for the most part. And she definitely is not going to be like appealing to all of the gay men. And that sounds really harsh. Whereas Beyonce, who has that Sasha Fierce persona, she's very girly with it. Well, not really girly, but she has that high feminine sexual energy and that attitude that is going to cause a lot of young girls and people who are in the LGBT community to really gravitate towards. So in terms of her career, Sierra is not done, but she's definitely not the first person you go to when you think about a leading artist. Not anymore. And for that reason, Russell Wilson has kept her relevant and kept her in a lifestyle that she's accustomed to, because she doesn't necessarily want to sing, she doesn't want to dance and prance anymore. So, like Jada Pinkett, Jada is only still famous and relevant because her husband is Will. And that sounds harsh, but that's the reality. As she started to lose her looks, people didn't want to date her. They didn't fantasize about being with her. She lost a little bit of her. As much as we know it's a fantasy, fans want to be with these people. And once they start looking like they're settling down and out of the dating market, a little bit of the dream and the bubble is popped. And so people don't really want to see them like that anymore, because they know that you're not up for grabs, even though they never were. Now, maybe if you're a hot female fan, you might get a shot with Future, because he doesn't really care where he puts his wee-wee. But if you were a male fan who didn't have a shot with Sierra, now that she's married with kids, it's even more of a wrap for you. Sorry. But Sierra getting with Russell was the life ring. She was drowning in a sea of forgetfulness. She was about to be forgotten. And Russell Wilson scooping her up at the last minute was a lifeline. And a lot of women, they don't like to think about their sexual marketplace value being like this, that it has a life expectancy, it has an expiry date. And if you don't have somebody to help you continue to build that brand up, you will fade into obscurity in some instances. And this is why you see a lot of women who are like, I don't need a man, I'm not gonna date, I'm gonna wait till I'm in my late 20s, early 30s, and then they just age out of the market, because so many guys are not even available anymore, because they've all got married, or they've left the dating market, or their peers have reached back and they're now dating younger women who are coming through, and they're left in limbo. Okay, so Sierra was thrown a lifeline, and it's very reminiscent of Jada Pinkett's marriage to Will. Jada always loved Tupac, and this is a very typical thing that you hear in the red pill spaces, the manosphere space, black or white, the concept of alpha seeds, beta needs. The women are sexually aroused and attracted to a certain type of guys, these sexual alphas who are running around here exuding all kind of masculine traits. They're not necessarily masculine men doing the right things, but they exude the traits of a masculine man, which get the women interested sexually. These men gain sexual access without having to actually do anything to deserve it, really. But then you have the beta needs, and these are the guys who, you're not really attracted to them. They look okay. They don't, ignite that crazy lust. But on paper, they are the better option. They're stable, they're reliable, they're committed, they're the good guys. And what we see here, and what we've seen time and time again, is you have these women, and this is the only time I really use celebrities when it kind of verifies what is the general consensus, which is that people like Jada and Sierra, they were sexually aroused to guys who had that thug energy. They loved the fact that these guys were hood. They loved the fact that these guys were rough. And they didn't have to bring necessarily anything to the table but that persona. They were those sexual alphas who didn't have to put anything on the table in order to get the reward, which is them. And then after everything went belly up with these alphas, then they turned around and were looking for these betas to clean up the mess. And this is one of the reasons why I believe Jada picked August. Not only was he vulnerable, not only was he impressionable, she's an older, sexually more experienced female. He's, maybe had a crush on her for some time. So this is the most amazing thing for him, his childhood crush actually being a reality. Like I was saying about the fans, most people only dream about these moments. He's actually living the dream kind of thing. Obviously he's got issues in his personal life, so she was the shoulder to cry on. And then the line became blurred between some type of professional platonic relationship into something that generated other feelings. You know, she can say we were on a break, or, you know, my husband was done with me. She just wanted to boost her ego a little bit. And I personally feel like within August, she saw a little piece of Tupac. For a brief moment, she actually could be that young Jada loved up again with her old flame who's no longer here. Because when you think about that thug energy that August exudes, it's something that she has been imprinted with for a long time. And I saw a video, I think it was her being interviewed by Piers Morgan, it's about 9 years ago. And she was like, you know, well, it's okay. You know, she wasn't excited. She wasn't like, yeah, he's ripping my clothes off and throwing me across the room and, you know, it's like a porn movie, you know. She was like, yeah, out of 10, I'd give him a solid 6. You know, I was like, wow, you know, you're basically humiliating your husband time and time again. I mean, the disrespect is not new. This is something that has been going on for some time, it looks like, because how can you go on international TV and basically say your husband's sex is whack? How? Why? Like, you should have been divorced at that point. He should have just said, well, seeing as you're so unhappy, you need to go and find someone that's going to make you happy. And what we see time and time again, because if 4 years ago Will was done, 1 year ago he was done, there's videos surfacing all the time of him saying, I'm fed up with this woman. His biggest mistake was being this beta simp for females and trying to save them. Was it J. Cole who said, don't save them, they don't want to be saved? And because they are imprinted with this energy, this desire for this kind of dude, they just can't seem to break free of that vice. The taste is too strong. It's kind of like once, you know, a dog or something tastes human blood, you've got to put the dog down, because at any minute they can just start attacking people because they crave that blood. You know, Jada was imprinted by the thug energy, and so was Sierra. She was crazy about this guy. And so Jada was looking for a new Tupac, and it was kind of like the perfect storm for her to take advantage of August, come across like she's helping, and then ultimately turn it into something sexual. And obviously she knows that August cannot take her where Will can go, so she just decided it's better I leave him alone now. I've had my fun, I've got my ego up, I know I've still got it. I got a little taste of the years gone by that I could have had with Tupac, and let me go back to my boring life with Will, where at least I know all the bills are paid. And this is exactly the lifeline that Sierra was thrown. This whole thing with him giving $10,000 to each of Future's children is just beta seeds, or what is it? Alpha seeds, beta needs on a whole new level. You have basically rewarded clout chasing groupies. And it baffles me. I'm so glad I'm sitting down, because the more I think about it is the more I'm likely to fall down. Like, why would you take these women? Like, you have worked hard your whole life to become an international success. You have a wife and you have a child. That is your only responsibility, that child. Even that child's responsibility is questionable, because on the one hand, I understand you want the tie to be cut, but on the flip side, you have basically given Future a license to basically go around and create more children that he's not going to be responsible for. And this is the whole, oh my gosh, how many topics are in this one video? This is the whole let the community burn, let the Pookies and the Ray Rays and the Shaniquas and the, oh, what would you call it here in the UK? I think over here it's Keisha's as well. some questionable Keishas out here. You know, let them all go off on an island and cannibalize each other, because at the end of the day, these women who went time after time after time getting pregnant for this man, they have not brought anything positive into the black community. They have set a bad example. And on top of it, you have basically let it be known that as long as you've got a little bit of fame, you know, you can always get dumb females who will come to you. And then you reward them by talking about not every child can be athletic. So let me give them 10 grand for a trust fund. Why? So basically they have a famous father and a man who's not even a stepfather, just allowing himself to be community property. This is why you have the pushback that you have for the single mothers and the stepdaddy game. It's not because these black men are bitter and twisted and they hate women. It's because it's unjust. The how many hundreds, tens of thousands, are we talking about 70,000? How many baby mamas does Future have now? About 9? So if he has around 9 children in the world, this man has taken the best part of $100,000, which may be a drop in the ocean for him. But this is not about the monetary value. This is about the principle. Why are you laying on your back for Future and then expecting not 1 but 2 men to come to your rescue? And then rather than Russell Wilson, and I can't even say rather than Russell Wilson take that money and put it into the community, because unfortunately the community does not respect men like Russell. Everybody should be thanking men like Russell who come through and take up the responsibility and clean up the mess that these women created. And before you say, what do you mean the women created? It's the men that left the family. If you guys were not together like that, you were not a family. He did not leave a family. Biologically speaking, that man was not bonded to that woman and that child, and that's why it's easier for him to leave those children. And because when a man has to work to be in a woman's life, the bonding hormones in a man are slower burns than the bonding hormones in women. The bonding hormones in women are like a flashbang. It's like instantaneous, very intense, and it can be intense very quickly and then it dies off very quickly. This is why women get disinterested and often they're more prone to cheating, okay? Because they fall in love easy, or they believe they're in love, but then they fall out of love. Okay, and it's not love, it's lust, and it's the chemical reactions in her brain, which are some short-term, intense hormonal chemicals like oxytocin. But the bonding hormones that's predominant in men, it takes longer to build up. It takes longer to form that strong bond. But once that man has been engaging this woman or this child for a long time, over time, the bond is strong and it's long. So if you guys are having a casual relationship, you're just a fling, you're just a side chick or whatever, you have a one-night stand, the man is not with you long enough to bond to you or the child. That's why it's not a case of he walked out on his family. If you guys were not a family, if he was not committed to you, he did not walk away from a family. He just happened to walk away from a woman he impregnated. I'm really sorry to break it to you. I know this is a hard thing to say, but that's what it is, and that's why it happens. When a man really wants to be with a woman, he will propose, because he sees the value in the woman, and that's why he asked her to make her his. And that's why the scripture says, he who finds a wife finds a good thing. A man should be the one making the move when it comes to proposing, because you can bend a man and pressure a man maybe into agreeing to marry you, but if his heart's not really in it, he's never really going to be committed like that. So the mere fact that that Russell did that, I just shake my head in awe. I was so perplexed by the whole 30 years I found out my siblings are not my siblings, we don't have the same father. I completely missed this thing about the 10 grand per child, and I'm not going to say it makes me physically sick, but this is why you have a lot of people talking about they have to let the community burn and let the people, you know, suffer in the consequences of their actions, because at the end of the day it's not fair on the people who do everything right to have to be responsible for the rest of the community who's doing everything wrong. So that's all I've got for this one. Let me know what you think in the comment section. I'm ready for the thumbs down. I love them. It's great. It's great to know that people have an opposing view. You know, tell me why I'm wrong. You know, share this video with someone who needs to see it to help the channel grow. And like, share and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.